Hey, this is the national treasure, Nick Aldis, and you're listening to the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome back to another edition of the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. We are your host. He's the Stallion. I am the Enforcer. And if you're wondering why you enjoyed last week's show with Scott Keith from Scott's Blog of Doom so much more than you normally enjoy the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast, it's because I was not here. I, myself, being the Enforcer, I was out of commission last week on a 4.5-hour conference call at 8 o'clock at night in my real job. So I would love to thank the Stallion himself and Scott Keith from Scott's Blog of Doom for manning the show last week. They did a fantastic job. And if you want to read wrestling reviews anywhere on the internet that aren't shitty, go to Scott's Blog of Doom. And the cool thing is, and I don't want to go into a soliloquy here, but like I was just watching Great American Bash 1986, and I typed in Great American Bash 1986 reviews, and the retro reviews that Scott Keith has on his website, dude, they're the best, man. They're the only one I go to.
Yeah, he's done a lot of reviews for over 20 years between WCW, WWE, and AEW, and he's got some other stuff from other promotions that he does, from
NWA, old school,
stuff from the network. So there's a lot of all the Clash of Champions. So I mean, all those things you can put in his name and the name of a show, and you'll find his review from some point over the last 2.5 decades.
And yeah, it's cool to go back, and especially with the availability of the network, he's just doing random reviews all the time. So check it out, Scott's Blog of Doom. It's the source for everything professional wrestling. If you are looking for a source for everything Survivor Series, well, here we are, buddy. Survivor Series right around the corner. Survivor Series has traditionally been one of the big four pay-per-views, right? That was Survivor Series, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, and the Royal Rumble. Those were the ones that were historically the biggest WWE pay-per-views of all time. Survivor Series has fallen off of a fucking cliff in recent memory because, I mean, let's be honest here. We know the pattern. However many years in a row it is. It's like, all right, now SmackDown and Raw hate each other starting November 1st, right? And for all intents and purposes, there's no rhyme or reason for the SmackDown versus Raw angle. And I thought they settled this on bragging rights. Wasn't that the point of bragging rights back in the day?
I think there was a bragging rights show at one point in time. Yes, we had a similar concept, Team Raw versus Team Smackdown. Last year, there was NXT involvement, so all these matches were triple threats.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and apparently this year, there was a rumor that the plan was supposed to be where Retribution was going to be in one of these, and they were going to have a match against Team Raw, and they were going to maybe not do the Raw versus SmackDown concept this year to change it up, but that did not happen. So here we are.
Yeah, last year, this is when we got that Adam Cole versus Daniel Bryan match on SmackDown, right? Was that this time?
Yeah, I think that was around this time last year, where a lot of the NXT guys were showing up on Raw and SmackDown.
And Cole went on a tear, and he had like four. Wasn't he on? He was on NXT pay-per-view, NXT, SmackDown, Raw, and Survivor Series. I think all in like a stretch of like 7 days.
Yeah, I can't remember all the matches, but I think that he was in a War Games match where he took that crazy bump off the top from Ciampa. He wrestled on SmackDown against, I think, Daniel Bryan, like you said, if I'm not mistaken, and then I think he wrestled Pete Dunne at Survivor Series in just like an NXT title match on the show. So I had to go back and double check all those things, but that's what I remember. So yeah, he had a lot of matches going on in like a week or so span.
Yeah, I mean, there was the summer of Punk 15 years ago. Last year was the fall of Cole, and that's cool. They probably should have went with that, or did something, or if they're going to bring him up to the main roster. But here we are. He's fucking feuding with a punter. But regardless, let's get to Survivor Series and this week's hashtag Wrestle Wages. So what we are now, the pandemic has forced us all to behave differently. How are Joe and I behaving differently? We've become degenerate scumbag gamblers. True or false, Joe?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so that's what we do. We waste a lot of money. We used to waste a lot of money on frivolous bets, not knowing we were betting on. And there, lo and behold, comes pro wrestling, something that you and I know everything in the world about. So if you are looking to make some money this week on Survivor Series, head over to
WrestlingHeadlines.com at All Night Long WP.
True, and where you could bet on the
Bet Online.
Bet online. Thank you.
Yeah, the .org. Is it non for profit? What is that?
I think it's betonline.gov.
Yeah, that's probably it. Betonline.ag.
That's what it is. Oh, yeah. So betonline.retro Anthony Green.
Yes,
Betonline.ag, where they have the bets
Gray.
right now.
Sorry.
I'm going to send everybody that screen cap when you told me they changed Retro AG's name. Like, what is he, John Blue? And you're like, close. August Gray. I'm like, no, really, what's his real name? It was so unbelievable. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to give you the lines for the show this week. Who's the underdog, who's the favorite, and who's going to win and why. And guess what? The best part is, since I don't watch Raw or SmackDown, I can take my emotional investment completely out of it, and I can use my head to tell you guys how to make money. Because when my head's in the game, I'm in. When my heart's in the game, I'm pulling for fucking Eddie Kingston, which... To be fair, I know you're going to take me to task on that because that was technically my best bet a couple of weeks ago. It was, but then I put a disclaimer. I put a little top caret asterisk, and I said my best bet is Eddie Kingston, but my real best bet would be Darby Allin at plus. I think he's like plus 170. Sure enough, Darby Allin came through, and our picks on that show were pretty spot on, Joe.
Yeah, overall, I think we did well on picks, and I think my best bet was MJF, which wasn't really that, big of a stretch, but that ended up coming through and we did real well on our picks. But yeah, Survivor Series is this Sunday, November the 22nd. It is 6 matches currently on the card. So we're doing this on Thursday. So there are still a couple of members of the Survivor Series teams, specifically for SmackDown, that have not been named yet. So we're going to be making those 2 picks without knowing the full team, but we'll just kind of, have to, when they book stuff literally like a day or 2 before, there's only so much we can do. Right? So we'll just start right off with the first match. So obviously people that are familiar with Survivor Series or with the way they're doing it lately, there's these teams matches and there's also the champion versus champion matches on these brands. So the first one we have is the Raw Women's Champion Asuka versus the SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks. Right now, Sasha Banks is a favorite at minus 160, and Asuka is at plus 120.
You want me to go first in this one, huh? Now you gave me that interlude. You let me...
Whatever makes you happy, buddy. I'm just here,
Asuka, you said Asuka's a favorite in this, correct?
Asuka is the underdog. She is plus Asuka's 120.
Oh, sorry. Asuka's plus 1.
Sasha Banks, minus 160.
I could see... Here's where I'm going with this one. We're going to go with the underdog. We're going to take Asuka at plus 120 here. So $100 makes you $120 plus your original $100 back. So we're going to take Asuka here. And the reason why we're taking Asuka is one name only, Carmella. I feel like Carmella is going to have a little bit of an influence in this match. I don't think Asuka should be losing here, and you can get away with Sasha Banks losing due to outside interference. I think it's tough when you do these shows because you want to make – actually, they don't – no, you know what? It'd be tough for you and I to book these fucking shows, Joe, because we would want to keep our champion strong. It's not tough for the WWE because they have the memory of a tick, of a fruit fly, of a deer, of a deer tick possibly, or one of those Lone Star ticks that if they bite you, you can't have meat anymore. That's what they have. So we're not supposed to remember things. So I can't think like I would think or like you would think or like traditional booking would do. So I'm going to go with Asuka here in the upset due to interference from Carmella.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you on that. The thing with Asuka right now is I don't really know that she has a feud going on Raw. So the thing with Banks is that she does, right? She's moved from Bayley now onto Carmella. So my gut would say to go with Asuka here, and get the win over Banks, and maybe they'll further the storyline with Sasha and Carmella. So we'll go with Asuka
This is a non-title match, correct?
Yes, all of these are non-title. It's just like you said, champion versus champion, so that somebody comes out looking weaker. We have next Bobby Lashley, the United States champion, versus Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental champion. Bobby Lashley is a big favorite here at -325. Sami Zayn at +215.
Can I read you Sami Zayn's tweet from earlier today?
You can do whatever. This is your show. We can do whatever you like, my friend. There's no limits.
At Sami Zayn tweeted this.
No
I hear that as United States champion, Bobby Lashley is working on a new finishing move called the American Way, where he sets up a base on my property, destroys my home, has his friends take whatever is left, then says he did it for freedom and makes me out to be the bad guy. You know, Bobby Lashley is going to do something else very American on Sunday, and that's win. Bobby Lashley is going to dominate and destroy America's hat lover, Sami Zayn, in clear, concise fashion. Bobby Lashley is in the Hurt Business, and business is booming. Let's get to the Ale House, fellas.
I also agree. I think Bobby Lashley will win this. Like you said, the Hurt Business has been pushed as a pretty decently strong faction on Raw, and I think Zayn is more of kind of like the chicken poop type heel where he talks a lot of smack, and I don't know. If I'm thinking in Vince McMahon's head, right, he's probably would put over a guy like Bobby Lashley over someone like Sami Zayn. So just in terms of he prefers the bigger athletes. Zayn was away for a while because of the COVID. I'm sure Vince has some reservations about that. So I'm going to go with Bob Lashley as well. I feel like you want to play something, so I'm just going to stop talking. Is that
I hope it came across good. It was America, fuck yeah, from Team America World Police. So,
okay.
But yeah, you know what? I totally forgot about the whole Sami Zayn COVID situation, and as well as I do, Vince, that doesn't sit nicely with Vince. Sami Zayn's not a team player, and he looks and like Shea Guevara now with everything going on. So I'm gonna say, yeah. Let's just say we got the Hurt. And who's Sammy's? Is he still by himself, or is he with Cesaro and Nakamura?
I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore because they were together, and then the pandemic kind of Cesaro and Nakamura became a team. I really don't know if they're together anymore because I have not watched SmackDown. So I'm sorry.
Well, I know who's with Bobby Lashley. That's MVP, Shelton Benjamin, Cedric, motherfucking Hurt Business. God, I love them.
So next, let's go to the tag team match. It is the Raw Tag Team Champions, the New Day, versus the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits. People may remember them from just handing each other the belts on an episode of television right after the draft. So, good, both babyface teams here, but switched brands and then just, went ahead and switch those titles. So
I feel like people really need to watch the show to see your face when you were delivering like that match. Like it was just, I don't want to say contempt or disdain, something that's in between not caring at all and unbridled rage. So like you were right in the middle, like you were right there. I don't know. I don't care. I think it's no biggie. They're really trying to make Woods and Kofi stand out on their own. Plus, kudos to them for, I believe, the new Gears of War. They are DLC, downloadable content in that game. So that's pretty cool. So maybe they're going to push the DLC Gears of War thing. So I'm going with the New Day. Spoiler, this is not my best bet.
I didn't give you the lines, but it's actually even. So they're both teams are -120. So there is no betting favorite right now. I'm going to go with Street Profits only because I think New Day's been around so long. I know that they've split off from Big E now, but they've been around so long. I think that, really they should probably put over the newer, younger team here.
The newer day? That's what you're going to say.
Yes. So I think I'm going to go with the Street Profits here. I'm taking the Street Profits. Let's go.
I'm sorry. I just, on paper, I think it should be a great, very good match too.
Okay. I agree. I think it is going to be a good match. Let's go to the Women's Survivor Series match because this one's a little bit still up in the air. Team Raw has been named. So Team Raw is Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lana, Lacey Evans, and Peyton Royce, who recently replaced, I believe, Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose on the team.
Do they have cool names like the old Survivor Series, like the Hulkamaniacs and the Warriors, nothing like that?
I'll try to come up with something as I do this.
How about most likely to botch a spot?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Team Stiff. No, that's probably not good. All right. Team SmackDown is Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and 2 members TBD. So that is the 5-on-5. SmackDown still has 2 members to be named. Right now, the betting line shows that Team SmackDown somehow, with only 3 people named, is a -170, and Team Raw is a +130.
Well, I know Vince McMahon. I've watched his product for quite some time.
You know how he likes his steak? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, with ketchup. Fucking weirdo. I'll tell you this. He really does. He loves ketchup on steak. There's going to be a sole survivor in this match, and it's going to be Lana. As per, she's been put through a table 106 weeks in a row because Rusev left to WWE. I can foresee it coming down to, let's say, Lana and Ruby Riott. And Nia Jax comes back out, puts Lana through the table, disqualifying Ruby Riott, giving Team Raw the win. Not for nothing. If they don't do that, I think they're really missing the boat because I think that is a creative, hilarious, and continuing the Lana going through a table storyline. So I'm going to go with the underdogs here on the Raw team.
I agree. I'm going to go with Team Raw here as well. I think that Nia, Jax, and Shayna at least have been pushed to some extent, at least as looking strong. And part of that is because of the whole the table breaking thing. The only thing with SmackDown is I just hope that they, at least if they're going to eliminate Bianca Belair, that they make her look strong or give her some victories during this match, because I think really she's someone that they should continue to be featuring on that show. So hopefully they do that, but I'm also going to go with Team Raw.
Well, they did that in the Royal Rumble, right? They made her look pretty strong the entire way in the Royal Rumble and then did absolutely nothing with her.
Yeah.
So, whatever. But yeah, I think.
So before, I guess we'll go with the champion versus champion. So Drew McIntyre from Raw, who is now the WWE champion, just recently defeated Randy Orton, is going to be facing Roman Reigns, the Blue Universal champion on SmackDown. So
Batista's back.
The betting line is Roman Reigns favored at -250, Drew McIntyre +175.
I mean, with nothing on the line, who gives a shit, right? Like, it's sad to say, but like, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. There are no stipulations on any match except for the quote-unquote bragging rights. That's why people cared about Vince Russo booking, because every angle, every match, whether it was on a fucking poll or not, like it meant something in the grand scheme of things. You know as well as I do, once Sunday's over, Drew's going to go back to Raw, Roman's going to go back to SmackDown, and they're going to be cutting promos like nothing ever happened. They're going to return to their feuds. I don't think you could have Roman lose because of how strong the tribal chief is looking. I'm sure Jay's going to be out there with him. I foresee a Randy Orton RKO run-in to continue this never-ending Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre storyline. So I'm going with Roman Reigns on this one.
I'm also going to go with Roman Reigns. I think, Drew McIntyre had a very strong run as the champion in terms of he didn't lose a lot, really. I think he didn't lose at all until Orton pinned him on an episode of Raw in a tag match, and then he ended up losing to him, losing the title to him recently, and then he just won it back. So, but Roman having recently come back and turned heel, I would not pin him here. I don't think there's any reason to do that. Drew really shouldn't be pinned either, but I think if they're going to have somebody lose, it probably would be him. So I think that And like you said, it could be something where Orton gets involved, or someone else from Raw could get involved and kind of screw McIntyre up a little bit. So I'm going to say Roman Reigns wins this as well. So
You
that
have
leads
to, though,
us
right? I'm sorry. Like, you have to preserve the same thing we said in the in the women's match. Like, you can't. What? I'm just.
Yeah. No, I hear you, buddy.
Okay.
It's frustrating. All right, and the last match we have on the card is Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. So Team SmackDown is still missing one member, but we'll get to that. Team Raw is AJ Styles, Keith Lee, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Riddle against SmackDown, the team of Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, King Corbin, Seth Rollins, and one person to be determined, which I believe is rumored to be Big E. Hopefully it'll be Big E, because it would be nice to feature him on this show if they want to push him as a singles on SmackDown. So hopefully that'll be the case. That is the teams. Currently, the betting line for this is Team Raw favored at -180 and Team SmackDown at +140.
Man, I'm kind of speechless when it comes to this show, because one of your biggest pet peeves are matches and title, like, guys that are champions getting pinned with no reason for them to get pinned in, like, on non-title matches. And I feel like this show is just littered with
Garbage.
just question marks.
Hot garbage.
Yeah, which sometimes the wind blows garbage in my face. It's I feel like one name I didn't hear at all during this show, and correct me if I'm wrong, was Daniel Bryan.
Correct. Not named on this show.
Is there any reason? Is he hurt? Is there any reason for no Daniel Bryan?
I don't know. I think he was not on SmackDown for a while. Then he's been back. He's been rumored to have a feud with Roman Reigns next, to be his next challenger, but I don't know that's officially going to happen. I think the last thing I remember them doing significantly with him was when Jey Uso turned to join Roman, and I think they destroyed Daniel Bryan a couple weeks ago. So I don't know if that's the reason why or not, but yeah, he's on the booking committee now, so he's got other things to figure out. The writing team, I guess, is what it's called. So my mistake.
I am so not confident about this, but when I look at all of the wrestlers, I'm sorry, superstars on both of these teams, there are certain people that stick out to me that I think should not be pinned and should not lose. The number one guy that sticks out to me is Keith Lee. Keith Lee, I don't know what they've been doing with him. I don't think it's been good, but I think he's a guy that should be featured in this match. So I'm going to go with Raw winning, only because I believe Keith Lee should not lose. But then again, I'm trying to apply logic. I think Dov Davidoff said this best. I'm trying to apply logic into a situation in which no logic exists, because it doesn't matter to them, right? Like, who loses or gets pinned. It's not about looking strong. It's about throwing together whatever you can do for a fucking match without caring about what happens. So as far as I know, the fucking last guy could be Swoggle, fresh off of his Vegas trip, and he might get the win. I have no idea. But in my mind, Keith Lee is the guy that you have a team of Keith Lee and Braun fucking Strowman. Those guys should not be losing. So I'm going with Team Raw. Man, I'm pissed off.
I'm going with Team SmackDown. And this is actually going to be my best bet for the show. It is SmackDown is +140 on the show. They're going to be my best bet. And I'm just going with that based off of the fact that from what I've seen on Raw, they've painted the whole picture of this Raw team as guys who don't get along. There's been some comedy gimmick stuff. Riddle got pinned this week on Raw because of the team not getting along and stuff like that. So I'm going to go with that it'll kind of almost be some sort of comedic style situation where AJ, is left out there to rot. And I think with Team SmackDown, there's guys on that team that, they should make sure that they get put over pretty good too. And I think Big E is one of those guys. I think Jey Uso is another one of those guys. So I'm going to go with Team SmackDown, even though they're the underdog, and I'm going to make Team Smackdown my best bet for the show.
Okay. It's a strong take. I like when you say things like that with conviction because it always sways me. I'm not going to change here. I'm going to stick with Team Raw. I'm not confident about really anything we've talked about on this show at all. So as far as best bets go, I'm going to go with Asuka. I think she is the lock of the night for me, and she's the only one that I could see a clear path as to why she should not lose. She should not lose because she has nothing to gain from losing. Sasha Banks has things to gain from losing if she's lost for the right reason, and that reason is to continue a program with somebody you're trying to push named Carmella for some unknown reason, and not for nothing is what the fuck is Retribution?
Corey Graves. They were actually, so on Raw this week, they were the team that beat, I think it was Riddle, Sheamus, and Strowman, maybe. Actually, well, I guess it was 4-on-4, probably. I don't know, dude. I don't watch the whole show anymore. But Riddle got pinned in that match, so Retribution actually won the match. I can't remember if it was 3-on-3 or 4-on-4, but Retribution won the match. AJ Styles was on commentary, and Riddle was pinned because of distractions and stuff going on the outside.
So let me get this straight. The Job Squad that hasn't won anything beat the team that's supposed to look strong going into the pay-per-view on Sunday.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
It's the one.
Interesting. All right.
It's the one, buddy.
This is Joe, this isn't good. I'm just going to
Keith Lee. I don't know. Yeah, it's not good. But you know what? That's it. So your best bet, Asuka. My best bet is the men's Team Smackdown for this week. And that's it. That's the show, man. I think our best bet shows, they've really been skyrocketing in the ratings. I think people are really, listening in to figure out where to bet and who to bet on. And it's all thanks to you, buddy. It's all thanks to you and your expertise of professional wrestling and sports entertainment.
Coincidentally enough, both of our best bets this week are underdogs. So maybe you and I know something that the odds makers don't. And while I'm talking about we know things, I'd like to congratulate FTR for being the #1 tag team in the PWI top whatever it was, their first ever tag team issue. I don't know if you saw that, Joe, but FTR is #1. Good for them. And I'll be watching Survivor Series 1989 on Sunday. We'll be watching the show. I just want to see if my predictions are right because once I took the heart out of it, like the Grinch, heartless, don't give a fuck what happens, but just think about it. My predictions have been better. So I know on the WWE website, they're hiring a new creative content writer. I can't think of two better guys for the job. The only problem is we're going to do these weird things like have storylines that make sense. And, I know if you want to, just go to WWE.com, fill out the application. You don't need to know shit. Just look at who was on there right now. Bruce Pritchard doesn't know his ass from his elbow, as my grandfather would say. But that's really all we've got to say about that. We do have a couple of cool things coming up. I know Ring of Honor just announced Final Battle for December 18th. You and I were talking about that. I'm really looking forward to seeing Ring of Honor. I think their weekly shows have been great. The Ring of Honor Pure title tournament was fantastic. It was wrestling the way wrestling should be. And when you're getting praise from Jim Cornette in the year 2020, and doesn't have to do with any kind of rally of sorts, I think, things are good. So kudos to Ring of Honor, Joe. You really, you forced my hand into watching that. You kept reminding me about it. You said it was good, and I have not looked back. So congrats to Ring of Honor for really putting on some good shows and having us look forward to their pay-per-view coming up next month.
Yeah. Should be some interesting stuff happening in December between that NXT War Games and some other whatever. I guess the TLC. I don't know what pay-per-view it is that WWE has at this point, so I don't really.
Seasons beatings, Clash of the Champions seasons beatings. Actually, WWE should be bastardizing Starrcade at some point soon. They seem to do that every year. What did you call War Games right before we got on the show?
Snore Games.
There it is. And for the Stallion himself, I am the Enforcer. This is another edition of the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. Remember, you could follow us everywhere at All Night Long WP. And don't forget, If you're looking for some gifts this holiday season, check out our friends over at Born Scum Clothing. Use our promo code all nights long. You get 10% off your entire order. They have hats, they have hoodies, they have t-shirts. They're small business for the working man, by the working man. Keep hardcore negative. We're tapping out.
Best friends.